After experimenting with some content on the channel, did a little poll to see if you were interested in the following options: my content creating videos, my lifestyle videos, or the children's media videos. Then did another poll about whether I should keep those children's media videos going, as they were the ones that were being favoured. And it won by a considerable margin. Looks like I'm going to be talking about children's entertainment now. So let's start with one that I think doesn't get enough credit in children's entertainment: the music. In any piece of content or media, music is key. It sets a mood, it sets a tone, and it can really play on your emotions. The music can make you feel happy 1 minute and then incredibly depressed the next, depending on how the scene goes. So I took a look at some music from content that I liked, then also put a community post up on my Ginger Engine channel to get you guys involved as well. See if you could give me any music from children's entertainment that you enjoyed that deserves a shout out. So I'll start with the one that has got me into all of this: Thomas and Friends. The musical scores in Thomas and Friends, especially in the classic era, when I grew up watching it with Michael O'Donnell and Junior Campbell, were fantastic. I loved how, as the series went on, the music progressed with the series. First two seasons were in the 80s, so they had that 80s vibe that you were looking for. And then the 90s to the 2000s started bringing in more orchestral feels to it, something they picked up when working on their sister show Tugs. I've had the privilege of interviewing one of the composers, Michael O'Donnell, on my Ginger Engine channel, and I'll tell you, it was a fascinating interview. I was so privileged and so honoured to actually interview somebody from that show that helped shape my childhood and made me feel safe and loved. I also purchased Michael O'Donnell's reorchestrated theme albums, as he's now bringing them out for older fans to enjoy. And just listening to the music, if you had no clue it was from a kids show, you would love it, because believe me, I do. And I'm not a savant on music, but I know a thing or two. And a show that I got slated for saying that I enjoyed with my kids also has some great music in it. Time to talk about Teen Titans Go. Now, I'm not just meaning songs that most of the audience would know, like Waffles, 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 The Booty Scooty, and the generic songs like that. I'm talking about the band that wound up being formed as a result of Teen Titans Go, BER. This band's music came about through Teen Titans Go just as a kind of in-joke, particularly the song The Night Begins to Shine, which they recorded in 2013 and was inspired by 80s music. But the song gravitated with not only kids, but parents as well, who had lived through the 80s. So they wound up creating a Night Begins to Shine special, and they recorded a couple more songs, Forever Mine and Rise Up. And these songs were absolute bangers as well. And in a later season, they done a 5-part special, Night Begins to Shine 2, where another song was used called You're the One. I mean, I gotta say, that's my favourite song, I think, out of the 4 that they've released. What I like about this band in particular is that they don't push it trying to bring out song after song after song. They'll record something, sounds good, they'll usually get incorporated into Teen Titans Go because that's where they've started, and they'll release it. I now have 4 songs, well, because my kids like them and I like them. And as Cyborg says, yes, I believe in the power of music. You can also tell that it's very heavily inspired in the animation style of the Transformers in those Night Begins to Shine specials. So of course I had to reach out to my brother, the Ginger Transformer, and try and find out which song was his favourite from the Transformers. No surprises, Stan Bush, The Touch, was his favourite. This was from the Transformers the movie, which was released in 1986. That soundtrack, even the instrumentals, are brilliant. They are very of their time, don't get me wrong, but they're just so great to listen to. My own personal favourite is Dare, also by that same artist, Stan Bush. But little known fact for some people, Weird Al Yankovic actually brought out a song that was on this album, Dare to Be Stupid. It's not a parody, it's an original track, and it shows you the musical range that Weird Al Yankovic had, and still has to this day. Yes, he's known for his parodies, but his original content ain't too bad either. And I found that out by listening to the Transformers the movie soundtrack. So that's enough of the ones from my side. Let's jump into some of the fan ones from my Ginger Engine community tab. First one is from the account The Yellow Striker, a great Thomas YouTuber, and I advise you go give him a like and a sub if you like the content that I do in the Ginger Engine. One of the reasons why Tom and Jerry is my favourite TV show of all time is because of its music. Not only is it so lively and animated, but it's practically the voice of the show. Tom and Jerry don't speak at all, but instead are voiced by how the music is played, and it works perfectly. 100% agree, my friend. Tom and Jerry has been a staple of kids' entertainment since all the way back in the 50s. They didn't use a lot of voice actors. It was the music that told the story, and that is a true testament to how music is desperately needed in any form of media, and especially children's entertainment. We then move on to Miles Tinker. I would be remiss not to mention the really great music and songs in several Disney animated musical films. The Lion King, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Frozen, and my personal favourite, A Goofy Movie. Thank you, Miles. This is one of the key arguments for when people say to me, it's just kids' music, what's the big deal? Half the songs that musical theatre nerds listen to, or want to parody, or want to sing, are from these movies. I don't know so much about A Goofy Movie, I've never seen it, but the previous ones you mentioned, bang on. I'll not forget, Sir Elton John did most of the music for The Lion King. A Whole New World from Aladdin is one of the most duetted songs of all time, and you have no idea the amount of times that I heard girls in my college class singing Part of That World from A Little Mermaid. And the guys also wanting to rip the piss singing Under the Sea. It was brilliant. Frozen is the modern day equivalent of ones like Lion King and Aladdin, but it just shows you how great music can really elevate any type of media. Doesn't matter if it's a children's movie or children's TV show, it's still made for children, but adults enjoy it as well. And Disney really cornered that market during their Disney Renaissance in the 90s. Miles also says, a more modern example of a good children's show with great songs would be My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, and its many spin-offs, like its theatrical film, The Equestria Girls. Now, I'll admit, I don't know anything about My Little Pony. Never had an urge to get into it, and that's fine. But I know plenty of people that love My Little Pony. Not just girls, guys as well. And it's the same deal as when people judge me for liking Thomas the Tank Engine. I don't judge them for liking My Little Pony. If you like it, and there's reasons why you like it, which there are a lot of, who cares what anybody else thinks? And if the music is really strong in it, more power to you. Moving on to the YouTuber Matthew. If the question is children's music, the answer is the Wiggles. I have a soft spot for the Wiggles. My aunt and uncle basically raised my cousin on the Wiggles, and then they gave us the DVDs for our kids. And yeah, I got to admit, their songs are pretty brilliant. They are completely amazing, to the point where they were even going to be doing a tour, but for the children who are now adults that watched their shows when they were kids. And I think that's a fantastic idea. But it does not take away from the fact that they were great singers and there was great music to it as well. Next we have the YouTuber SpiderFan2003. If you like my Thomas and Friends stuff, go and subscribe to his channel. He has very short but informative videos if you want your Thomas and Friends fix. Some that I can think of with great music are things like Phineas and Ferb. Yes! Phineas and Ferb. Absolutely brilliant music. One of the bands that I listened to a lot in my teenage years and still listen to now, Bowling for Soup, did the theme song for that. And I absolutely love them. Adventure Time and Steven Universe. Again, ones that I don't particularly know, because they were just after my time, and my boys haven't been old enough to discover them yet. But considering you got it so right with Phineas and Ferb, I am more than willing to trust you, my friend. And it also got me thinking about shows that did use a lot of punk rock bands from the early 2000s in their shows. For example, What's New Scooby-Doo? Their theme song was by Simple Plan, and I love them. And finally, a good friend of the channel, both the Ginger Engine and my Andrew Durning channel, give them both a sub if you haven't already, Peter Sam, the Narrow Gauge Engine. I do a lot of collaborations with this guy. He's absolutely brilliant. His content's really strong, so go and give him a sub. If we're going back to the 70s, the Littlest Hobo theme song is iconic, brilliant. In terms of the 80s, Thomas and Friends is obviously iconic, but aside from that, I'd say Bertha. An outside choice, and I really respect that. You know your stuff. For the 90s, a lot of good ones, but Come Outside is top tier. Yeah, fair dues. The 2000s is the one I have the most knowledge on. Balamory, brilliant Scottish show, and I know a few of the actors in there, so I know that they will be very pleased to hear that one. Balamory did have cracking music. Horrid Henry and Season 5 Fireman Sam intro are all great, but the best theme song to come from this era for me is hands down Chowder. I'll need to check that one out. The rest I know about, the last one not so much. If we're talking about standalone non-theme song piece of music, As a kid, I used to love the Zardo Zap song from the Wiggles. There we go, the Wiggles, once again. Rewatched it recently and it was annoying, but it stuck in my head, so that's something. It doesn't matter if the song is annoying, if it's an earworm, if it's a bop, if it sticks in your head, they have done their job. These are just some of the multitude of examples that could come to your head when you think of cartoon theme music. Anything from the Hanna-Barbera universe had amazing songs. The opening theme for Batman the Animated Series, X-Men, and Spider-Man are all iconic in their own rights as well. One of my own personal favourites was Ren and Stimpy, and that's not even thinking about ones like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Thundercats. There was just such a plethora of great music, but it all had one thing in common. It was all children's entertainment. So don't come to me and say to me that it's just for kids. These songs are the sounds of your childhood. They're the sounds of your kids' childhood, your grandkids' childhood, and all the generations that will follow us. Let me know in the comments about any theme music from children's media that you loved as a kid, and any that you still listen to now. Thanks for watching. Take care.